levels up our Taric as well.
And protect all life.
From the moment that Akshan was revealed, I knew that I was going to love him as a champion, and while I think that Riven is the most natural pairing for him, and I think that will be the most popular version, today we're taking him for a spin alongside Taric because I think there's a lot of value there as well. So if you're new, standard stuff to get out of the way. I use time tags in my videos. If you only care about the gameplay, you can jump ahead, watch those. If you like today's deck list, I'm going to put the deck code and a link to Mobalytics in the video description. And finally, consider subscribing, hitting the like button. Those things are free and they help me out. So, the list. We're going to try to go through it quickly, but there's actually a lot of potential interactions, which is why I think it's really cool to pair him with Taric. Shaped Stone is great with Akshan because he obviously summons a landmark, and so just by playing Akshan, you've turned on Shaped Stone for the rest of the game, but also this targets an ally, and thus you really like it on Akshan. It's also a very aggressive play with Taric because if you play it on Taric and Taric supports Akshan, then you get the effect on both of them, and so that's 1 mana for potentially +6 damage. It's absolutely nutty. So Shaped Stone for sure. Akshan, one of the points of the deck. Mountain Goat, great early drop, but also a source of gems. Gems are a very cheap way to continue to trigger Akshan and to take advantage of Taric. Pale Cascade, this is mostly here for the card draw. You can use it to save your units, and obviously it targets an ally, so Akshan loves it, but also, again, playing this with the Nightfall trigger onto your Taric and then attacking means you get to draw an additional card when it copies. Sparklefly is here because we've got a lot of buffs, so this is a great source of healing if you need it, and because we're running cards like Mentor, you can even permanently buff it. Vigor, this is mostly here just to keep your Akshan alive early on. Specifically, it's just anti-Mystic Shot tech. One of on the Absolver, simply because it has the Overwhelm option once something has leveled up. And more importantly, if you play these, you could play this first one on, say, like Akshan, and then if you have both Akshan and Taric, second one goes on Taric, which then copies over to Akshan, and so you get more Overwhelm value that way. If I had more slots open for this, I would actually, I think, run the Daybreak Give Overwhelm option, but because we're only running this as a one of, I think this ends up being superior. Grappling Hook. This is actually our primary source of removal, but because we have so many cheap options for targeting our allies, this ends up being, I think, pretty cost effective. Like, it's next to nothing to just play a gem on something and then get a strike off. And because it's a one-way strike, you get a lot of benefits there. Obviously it's slow speed, so that's your drawback, but I think that it's still good enough with cards like Akshan or with Mountain Goat to give you a gem or so on and so forth that it's worth it. Hush, pretty standard in Targon decks, I think, even still, but you could consider cutting this to a 1 if you want to fit something in. Mentor does everything we want it to in this list. It's great for getting an early buff on Akshan when you're attacking on odds, and once he's a 4/4, that's great, but also it gives you those gems. Merciless Hunter helps to keep your units alive and dictate trades. Also a great way to protect Akshan by letting him attack low health units with his quick attack. Vagabond. I really like Warlord's Palace, and I like the idea if you don't have your Akshan getting it going so that you can level him up, but also just in general, if you've already leveled your Akshan, you get another Warlord's Palace, and we're slinging around so many buffs that this will also speed up your rewards there. I think this is actually a nice solid card in this deck. Bastion, just to kind of protect your units. Taric, and then finally Ruin Runner, because we're playing Shurima, so naturally we're playing Merciless Hunter and Ruin Runner because those cards are busted. So this is the list. As I said, just lots of really cool interactions between the buffs and how they help out Akshan, but then they also work directly with Taric. So we're going to take the deck for a spin, play a couple of games, and hopefully have some fun. Oh, the Nasus Viego matchup. This is actually a deck archetype that I think has a lot of potential and merit, but I wasn't going to build it early on because it's bugged right now. I don't mind this opening. I just worry about the Pale Cascade without having gem triggers yet. So apparently all reports are showing that if you have a large Nasus that dies, Viego doesn't get the credit for the full Nasus, if that makes sense. But we have our early action. Excuse me. Akshan. I'm trying to teach myself to say it properly. I just look at this name and I think it's naturally supposed to be a pun on action, right? But it's Akshan. Okay, what do we want to do about that? So we have the Vigor as an option if they don't send the Hunter. Now if they send the Hunter to grab this, then we also had the Bastion, but we're gonna go ahead and do this because we will get credit for both the strike and the target. And we'll go ahead and make a sparkle fly while we're at it. And so the interesting bit here now is that with our Bastion, we actually trade into that as well. And I think that's what we want to do. Except they did not fall for it. So that's going to be changing things up for us a little bit, I think. But we'll go ahead and level Akshan.
You like it? I'm
Fixing the world one scoundrel at a time.
That'll help us out a little bit. All right, so the +1's not terrible just because it's hitting 3 units on the board. Predict and draw one could maybe get us out of some trouble here as well. Because we still need some help if we want to keep Akshan alive, but I'm not sure that's what we want to do. Nonetheless, I think we still take the predict and draw one. Mentor seems good. Mentor seems good for the future. And we have a grappling hook. Couple of different options here. We could obviously play our Ruin Runner to slow them down. As far as the Viego goes, that means they likely will not attack with Viego.
We'll get our licks in. Do it.
And so I think we're going to go ahead and take these trades because ultimately what we're going to try to set up here in future rounds is, I think, a gem onto Ruin Runner into the Viego. And we're going to have to be mindful about how we want this to go. Absolver is nice and live for us as well, but the reason I say we have to be mindful is because we also need to make sure that Viego is still killable. And so here I think we're fine with buffing the Sparkle Fly to top us off, because this will still be a 7. Because assuming something dies, right, this could go up to 6 health. This would still get up to 7, which should be enough for the strike to be relevant. So we're going to go ahead and send this attack as is, because we expected this. If we wanted to be greedy, we could even gem this up, but we're already at a higher health total, so I think this is fine. Because it's on the Ruin Runner as well, the spell shield means this is less likely to have any sort of interaction. I say less likely because technically if they run Rite of Negation, that's an option right now. And there it is. But we're still mostly okay with that because we have multiple options for dealing with this Viego eventually here. And they're down to 6 health, so the pressure is nice. And we're gonna be popping a horde here soon. It's weird because we almost want to kill our Ruin Runner before the horde pops. Wow, they're sending the Viego.
My desert, my rules.
And they're out of mana. This is really interesting.
Hug it down.
Legitimately stunned here, but I think this is probably the right way to go. We're gonna end up with this triggering next turn, which is exactly when we want it. Let's go ahead and give ourselves
You like it?
a palace again as well. Thank the spell mana. And I think that we're actually going to wait on that. Are we though? Are we really going to wait on that? I think no, actually. Let's just go ahead and make our Ruin Runner. Everything here is vulnerable. They're at 6. We're going to be able to jam an awful lot of health to run this over. Excuse me, an awful lot of attack power to run this over.
You can thank me later.
This will have Overwhelm as well. We have 5 here, with them only at 3, so we can also preemptively give this a shot while we're at it. So with 3 here, they could have something like Quicksand, but it doesn't stop this. So they're glimpsing there. This is actually kind of smart. Glimpsing there means I can't take that with the vulnerable, but it also means that this gets buffed.
Everyone should have a grappling hook. In and out.
And so as a result, we actually could be punished by our greed here if they've got a way to heal. And we still get there. Okay, 1 game down. Almost got punished for my greed because I wanted to be flashy, but there's a win. Akshan and Lee Sin. That's actually, I think, legitimately kind of spooky. This is kind of a tough call. I think this is fine. I think this is fine. We'd like, I think, some more interactivity. Like, shaped stone here is actually really nice, but we want to start with the Akshan. And they are just going to draw some cards, so we will start our countdown process.
Must be nice living
They
off
start
the
theirs as well. We're going to go ahead and play our goat. And then maybe, just maybe, the fun begins. Because Taric here means we can do this. So we get that credit. And then we can go ahead and do this. So it copies over. And we get that credit.
Scum. Not a chance.
Oh, so they had a nice stun, but we're going to get the gem here. Which is, of course, important for our game plan. We go with a tasty Fey Folk. So with 3 mana left, you have to wonder whether or not they have the Nopify. Like, that would be your big concern here, but I think it's worth the attempt. So we're going to go ahead and take our gem and try the grappling hook. And you like doing it from the goat in this instance because that would have given us a gem back. Now they get to save their Fey Folk with the retreat return, which is unfortunate for us. But we also get to level our Akshan up.
Talk is worthless. We are what we do.
Tail Cascade's actually a really great top deck for us here. We're going to go ahead and take the Grant Allies buff, because that means we can also do this then. And then again, copy that over to our friend Akshan, but we'll also give ourselves a nice additional draw. Levels up our Taric as well.
And protect all life. You're strange.
And so they have another stun.
Okay.
We're just going to go ahead and take advantage of this grappling hook while we're at it.
Justice works fast.
We're still fine for when Lee Sin eventually shows up. Fine-ish, mind you. I think the big concern we have here is them challenging into either Taric or Akshan. Now, Akshan we could keep alive with his Bastion, but right now, I just want to make them deal with this, because this forces them to hopefully utilize the barrier to keep them alive from this. Like, you know, the spells are coming either way.
Our enemies cannot hide.
And then here, if they charge into Akshan, we have the Bastion to force the trade. They could just pass if they're worried about the dangers of coming. And if they try passing, then we'll just use another grappling hook here.
Prepare yourself.
Or they could do that and just be safe. I guess that's fair. But we'll still happily take this. This puts us into a great position for the open attack this next round. And normally, I think you would take Resurrection here. But if we're going to be going into an open attack, Shield of Sentinels is looking really strong. Looking really strong because even though they already have Spell Shield, now we can also do this into the open attack with the buff going over there as well. So we're threatening lethal. We've got Spell Shield and we've got a victory. And so Taric getting it done along with Akshan. Love it. Got so excited after that last win that I forgot to do the outro. So if you made it this far, as always, I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the games. And until next time, may you walk on warm sands.